The Avengers, X-Men. Oh, wait, no, the Midnight Suns are here. The Midnight Suns is a deck-building, turn-based, role-playing game and friendship simulator. There is a lot in this game, and it's pretty complex, but I'm going to do my best to break it all down for you. Let's go. Put any tips that I have missed in the comment section down below so we can all help each other out. And I guarantee there are tons of things that I've missed because there is a lot in this game. So I'm going to do my best to kind of give you a general overview of like all of the major systems, and then we'll do some future videos to get into like the nitty gritty details. We'll start with the Abbey, then we'll get into deck building and combat. So the Abbey is where you will go after each mission to unwind with the squad, play some video games, and upgrade your team. Every time you arrive at the Abbey to start a new day, the objectives will be at the top left, which is like the major items that you need to tick off before you go on like your next mission. There is other tasks that you should do each day as well though to maximize your time spent at the Abbey so you can upgrade yourself and your squad. Firstly, we'll talk about the Forge. Now over at the Forge is where you will do most of your research projects, and research projects will take at least 1 day to complete, and you want to make sure you have at least one project running at any given time. Now these upgrades or projects will be anything from minor cosmetics like new suits to brand new combat items or new upgrades that you can unlock in the Abbey to allow you to progress even further into different avenues. One of the early research items, and one that you should absolutely focus on, is the combat item table, and you'll get this pretty early on, but this will allow you to craft combat items to take with you, and combat items are free cast items in combat that are extremely useful, and there's some really good ones as you get later in the game which can absolutely turn the tides of combat. You will also research upgrades to the Yard and Central here, which you should obviously be doing, and the Forge is also primarily where you'll get new cards for your squad in the beginning. These are come from the gamma coils that you'll get after each mission, and then Tony Stark will open them up for you and you'll like roll different cards. Once you've researched and unlocked the blueprint crafting as well, you'll be able to craft specific cards using blueprints, which is absolutely well worth doing. So the Forge is really a staple for your main upgrade paths, and you'll spend a lot of time here, and you should really be focusing on making sure you're getting those research projects done as well as upgrading anything that you do need to do. Your next stop should be the Yard, and the Yard is where you upgrade those cards that you've collected as well as improve and give XP to your overall like squad teammates. Upgrading cards will cost essence and occasionally credit if you are putting mods onto them. We'll talk about all those currencies in a little bit, so just hang tight for currencies. But at the Yard, you can also spar with someone daily, which will increase your friendship with them. It'll also give them some kind of a buff, as well as give you different rewards. Like occasionally you might get an arcane key, which you can then use to open one of the chests in the Abbey as well. But it's well worth doing. And what I typically do is I'll go and like pick a mission that I'm going to do next and go, okay, like, you know, Magic is going to be in this next mission. So then I'll go back to the Yard and spar with her. So then she's like prepared for that fight. As you do upgrade cards and abilities and get some of the different upgrade paths at the Yard as well, you'll increase your training level. Your training level, similar to how research level works for the Forge, but your training level will give you passive bonuses in combat. So trying to get that number as high as possible to get those passive bonuses is really important to do. So anytime that you can spend here and upgrading cards or sparring or even some of the other things like the threat room, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well, you absolutely should be doing that kind of stuff. Your next stop is Central. Now at Central, you can send your squad members out on solo missions if you have the intel. You'll get intel from doing certain missions. You're going to intel cache, so you can open that. You'll get the intel and the missions, and you can send them out. They'll get some experience as well as new ability cards when they return, and that's kind of the three main ticket items that you need to do every time you're at the Abbey. There is other things that you should do every day as well. Like if you find Charlie the dog and pat him, you'll often get some credits and some other rewards as well. Head over to the library and read any books. They will refresh like every couple of days, the books here. You don't actually have to read them, you just click on them and you get some arcane knowledge. If you increase your arcane knowledge level, the chests that you find throughout the Abbey will have better rewards in them, so doing that will get you better like cosmetic rewards, as well as occasionally you'll get some currencies in those chests as well. And also talk to anyone that has the icon and complete any of the hero requests that they give you, as you will get bonuses from those as well. The arcane chests that are in the Abbey, they will refresh like every couple of days. They'll like be closed again, so you'll be able to open them again. So, you know, if you do have some arcane keys, you can save them for like the epic or the rare arcane chests rather than wasting them on like the common ones. Let's quickly talk about currencies. Now, the first currency is Gloss, which is a customization currency that you use to purchase gifts from the gift shop or cosmetics for your heroes, as well as upgrade your own personal room at the Abbey. Credits are, I guess you could call them like the upgrade currency. They're used to purchase upgrades at the Ford, the Yard, or Central, as well as cards. You also use them in sparring, so generally they're focused on like upgrading things. Blueprints are used to craft specific cards cards, and you'll get blueprints throughout missions as well as in some of the chests that you find in the Abbey. The attack, heroic, and skill essences are used to upgrade those corresponding cards as well. So if you've got an attack card, you use attack essence to upgrade that card and vice versa. And intel is used for hero ops and mission challenges. Most of these currencies will come from out on missions, and if you pay attention to, even if you're doing general missions, it'll say what the rewards you'll get afterwards are. So if you're looking for a specific currency, whether it be credits or essence or something like that, then pay attention to those rewards and do those general missions so you can get them. All right, so that's the Abbey and currencies. Now let's get into the squad and combat. So there are 13 squad members in Marvel Midnight Suns, and each will have their own strengths and weaknesses and general play style, and they're all very unique. I'm probably going to have a video breaking down each one. If you are interested in that, let me know and I'll definitely make that for you guys. So firstly, let's talk about friendships. Now you can talk to each character and hang out with them and give them gifts to increase their friendship levels. This does take time, but it is worth doing as you'll get passives for those heroes as well as other bonuses for leveling them up. 13 heroes or like characters is a lot to worry about, but they will roughly level with the hunter, your character. They stay about 4 levels below his level, so if you're not even using some of the heroes, they will actually level automatically. But I would suggest focusing on probably like 4 or 5 of your favorite heroes and using them most in combat, because when you use them, you'll get new cards for them when you do open the gamma coils, so they'll just kind of generally get more powerful than the other heroes. So you want to have a general focus of like 4 or 5 heroes that you really like and focus on them to get the best cards, because cards are so crucial to success in combat. To level up the heroes, you do need to actually use them in combat and use their cards. So you can't just bring them on a mission and they'll just like instantly level up. You need to use their cards and they'll actually get XP and then level up. If you don't want to bring heroes on missions or you're looking for other ways to get XP, the threat room upgrade for the yard is friggin' amazing. So essentially you go in here, there's 3 turns and you just fight like the Soulless with like one specific hero, and you can essentially just get like unlimited card plays if you destroy an enemy each turn. This is a great way to level up heroes that are severely underleveled and bring them up to the same level as the hunter. It's a really good way to do, and you can do this for like all of your heroes every single day. In terms of like team compositions and setups, it's really up to you and like who you like. However, I would suggest a couple of things. Nico and the hunter are really the main 2 heroes that can heal other heroes. Now, someone like Captain America can give everyone block, but you do want to have a hero that can heal, as it is really crucial in combat. I would also suggest some heroes that can taunt, something like a Captain America or a Captain Marvel, or even Wolverine kind of acts like a tank in some regards as well. So one of those heroes that are a bit more tanky and can take some hits, and you can kind of push everyone into attacking that hero as well. And everyone else kind of fits into that general like DPS category, but depending on the cards you do have, it will change the way that they do play. So it's really up to you into how you want to pick those up and what cards you want to use. But I definitely would suggest to have some cards that are for healing as well as some taunt cards, just so you can really manipulate the enemies in the battlefield. And speaking of those decks, it is hard to decide what cards to bring, and as you do progress, you'll unlock much better cards that you can upgrade, and also mod cards as well once you do unlock those modifications. So generally at a high level for each squad member, I would suggest to have a couple of quick cards. Now, quick cards are refunded in terms of their card play cost if they do KO the target. You want to have a couple of attack cards that increase heroism, so they don't have a heroism cost. 1 or 2 like utility skill cards, and that will depend on the character. Like some characters, you know, like Wolverine will have Berserk, or it could be a heal if you're the hunter, something like that. And then you want to have a couple of heroism cards, like big heavy hitter attacks and something that will deal a lot of damage, so you can spend those heroism points on those cards. So let's talk about that combat system. Now, there's a lot to go through here, but we'll just cover the basics and some general tips and tricks for combat. So combat encounters will have an objective that's your primary goal. This could be defeat a certain enemy or collect a resource, or it could be something specific to that actual mission. I would pay attention to this goal over anything else and complete it as soon as possible. In some encounters, especially main story missions, as soon as you finish that objective, the mission will resolve, so you don't have to finish off the lingering enemies, and it will also stop more enemies from spawning in some scenarios where you do have to defeat the remaining enemies. So well worth doing, just to kind of slow the pace and just focus on that goal. Generally, combat resolves around drawing cards and then playing those cards to gain heroism, then spending those heroism on the higher impact cards or on environmental attacks. Environmental attacks can be triggered on any of the environmental objects that are highlighted by yellow. These cost heroism, but they don't cost a card play. Using these is a great way to defeat enemies without costing a card, and you can use your move to line up these attacks if you do need. There's also a training level upgrade that will allow you to use your move as a shove to knock back enemies into environmental attacks or into each other, so you can KO enemies without having to, use any of your heroism or even use a card play as well. We mentioned them a little bit earlier, but don't sleep on combat items. They are cheap to craft and free to use on any turn turn in combat. These will give you great bonuses and advantages in combat, especially if you plan ahead and pick the right combat item for the encounter. So don't sleep on them. They are absolutely fantastic, and you should always be thinking about your combat items and using them in all of the encounters because they are so cheap to use and they're a critical part of combat. Be cautious about increasing the difficulty modifiers. So as you complete missions and earn stars, you'll get the ability to give yourself difficulty modifiers, which will increase the enemy's health and offense. It will also increase the amount of XP and currency you get for completing those missions. It is worth doing, however, just be careful and mindful of when you do this because it will significantly make combat encounters a lot harder. I have fallen victim to increasing my difficulty and then going into like the next story mission and getting absolutely wrecked. So just be careful about doing that and trying to find that balance between difficulty where you're getting a lot of XP and currency, but then also not just like absolutely hamstringing yourself by just getting wrecked in those encounters. There is definitely a balance there. I've been sitting at about hero difficulty 2 to 3, depending on whether I'm doing like a general mission or a story mission, and you can change it at any time. So you're not like warranted or stuck into one specific difficulty, but it's worth pointing out. That is basically everything for this general overview for Marvel's Midnight Suns. Let me know any tips that you have in the comments down below. Thank you for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.